Hello and welcome to hobby vlog number 66. This week has been characterised by a cold that I caught last weekend, which I caught from Rosie. She got better within a day, as children do, and both myself and Angela have been battered all week. So I've really struggled for energy, really struggled to get time, because basically I've been getting to the end of the day and just wanted to go to bed, and being a sensible person, I've only done a little bit of hobbying before taking myself off to bed. And as I stand here right now, I would be in bed if it wasn't for this vlog. But I love making them and I'm not going to miss one, so I'm just going to drink a cup of tea and edit this and then go to bed. It's still been a good week, and today was massively successful. I finally got onto Rosie's model railway. Yay! Only a week until her birthday, and there is now a chance that there will be something for her to see that she will be wowed by on her birthday, and I'm very, very pleased by that. So anyway, let's go to the clips. I really hope you enjoy this. Leave me a comment below, let me know if you do. I've also left Facebook this week. I've decided I've had enough of the nonsense on there, and so yeah, if you're watching this, you won't have seen it via a clip that or a link I've shared anymore. So yeah, that's how it is. If you can share my videos around, let people know about me, that'd be great. I do get a lot of views, I think, from Facebook, but yeah, it's not worth it to me anymore, so I'd just rather have fewer views, frankly. So that's another thing that's happened this week. It's not really hobby related, but yeah, I'll be shutting down my group on there and just getting rid. So you can find me on the Discords that are linked below if you want to have a chat. It's wonderful, so many people have joined from those links. Anyway, I'm rambling now, let's get to the week. Thank you very much for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, thank you if you do, and I will see you again at the end. It's time to start painting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same idea as I did for the other buildings in this line, where I'm going to use my raw umber to paint the wood. So I'm just going to do that on the planks. But then the inside, so the walls, I'm going to do in white. So I've just got some white house paint here. So I'm going to paint probably the white first, and then I'll come along very carefully and do the floors. And that's going to be how I'm planning on doing it. I have some MDF, I have some stuff coming which will be like pews and what have you. They're on a boat at the moment, I think, or on a bus at the moment coming across Europe. So they'll take a little bit of time to get here. But I think that having a nice white interior will work really, really nicely. So I'm going to do that. Of course, this bit here will be textured in the same way as the outside of the building. So I don't want to touch that. And you can see why I've done the white first, because I've already dripped some on the floor, but that's fine. So this won't take very long. I'll probably let the white dry before I come in and do the brown, because I might end up doing more than one coat. I have not sealed this, as you can see, and I'm doing that as a bit of an experiment, because my next building that I do in this line, I'm going to be using to test out various ways of sealing MDF. So this is my experiment without sealing. And we'll see how many coats it takes, and that'll be a video coming to you at some point, but I'm not sure when. Anyway, there we are. I'll stop rambling, get this white paint on, and then I'll do the brown paint when I come to it. While I'm waiting for the paint inside to dry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the base and the tower to the base, because I may as well. So yeah, I've had a look, and I think that I'm going to basically do the same colour scheme as they have on the website, which is really nice, kind of a whitey grey texture on the outside, and then red tiles. Obviously they've not used their own tiles to replace on the roof, whereas I have used the paper tiles. But still, I think it's a really nice little thing. So I'm just going to put some glue here and stick this together, and then I will drop the tower in place as well. I've just stuck fingerprints on my paint, which is a bad thing to do both in real life and when you're modelling. So I'll probably clamp that, going to need to repair the paint job. And what I'll also do is I will stick the tower in place there as well. But I'll do that when I'm not on camera, because I'm struggling a bit to get in, and that's why I've got my fingers on the paint. So yes, but yes, I'm going to glue them together, and then we'll come back and we'll do the texturing once that's all dry. With the building now setting up with the tower in place and all clamped and everything, I'm going to come along with my usual nice rich red, and I'm going to paint these tiles all this nice bricky kind of tidy red. And this will only, I would have thought, take one coat, and it won't take very long. So I'll get this done and then I'll be ready to do all of the texturing all at the same time, both of this and of the main building, which means I can just do one mix and get all the colours the same rather than making mistakes. I'm probably going to use white grout, but we'll come to that when we come to it. So I'm just going to come along now, and as you can see, it's a lovely colour and it dries nice and red, and I think it will look really, really nice on this build. So yeah, let's get this done, and next step will probably be painting the floor inside, but also I'll be looking at doing the texture, and then it'll be done. These are really, really quick builds. I really enjoy them. So there we are. So here we are, an eclectic mix of items. First of all, what we've got here is some bones. Now these are chicken bones, which I've watched Benji's hobbies, and he did some fantastic stuff with some chicken bones that he took off of a roast chicken. I would attempt to remember to put a link up here if you want to go and watch it. It's really, really worth watching that video, really clever. And it inspired me to give it a go myself. Now I overcooked mine. We put them in our wood burner, in our petrol oven, and it got too hot for too long and they are singed. However, that does mean that they're definitely not going to have any creepy crawlies, but they are a little bit crumbly. So I will need to be a little bit careful when I'm working with those. Over here I have some more bones, also chicken bones, just from chicken legs, which I dried slightly more carefully, and this is an old bone from our land. We live in southern Bulgaria, and it has been there's bones all over it, basically just from dead cattle that have died. I have some plastic toy dinosaurs which I'm going to convert. Here, I bought these ages ago and never used them, and now I'm finally going to have a chance to. These are basically bones of different animals, and so I'm going to be able to use those to do something pretty cool, I think. So I've got a Smilodon and a Triceratops, and here I have some eggshells. Just chicken eggshells that I have dried, I've baked them, and they are going to be used to do some scatter terrain. And finally, I don't yet have Herbie. He's on a truck, he is on his way, but here is the Flintstones vehicle, which I managed to pick up thinking, I want that, I don't know why, and that was weeks ago, before this challenge ever came into my mind. And this is also going to be converted up to be a Gaslands car. So we have a lot of material, as you can see. My thinking is that I'm going to use 2 of these bones and maybe two more across the top to do a starting gate or something like that, or a bridge. So I'll probably have that kind of an idea. So something long and thin with these kind of like bound together with leather straps or what have you. The other thing that inspired me, potentially I might do for the starting gate, is something similar, just with the 2 uprights and with string across, and model it on the scene in Herbie where he shoots off underneath the banner that goes across the road. So I might do that. Scatter terrain wise, I'm going to be doing things like eggshells that are broken open like this, so it looks like it's where a dinosaur may have hatched from. So that's one thing I'm going to do with those. I'll be using these to also make up some other scatter terrain, so things that you can use to guide the cars around. And I will also be maybe cutting these up, or maybe just painting them and having them as kind of like static displays around, put them on bases and make them look a bit better and a little bit less plastic. So there's a lot to do. The bones will also be the same sort of thing. I think the main thrust of this is going to be lots of bones and lots of dinosaur-y type things, and hopefully it will look really good. So I'm going to get a sketch pad, I'm going to start drawing some stuff, and then when I get to start making, I'll bring you along and show you what it looks like. So yeah, let's get this build on. So let's get started. What you'll notice is I've got a plank of wood and I've got a bit of cardboard which is currently clamped down to it. And that is how I'm going to be doing my terrain. What I've found is if you clamp down your terrain, it doesn't warp. which is very good. Now I might need to come along and put a longer clamp here and here, but that's fine, or I could even just pin through it, which is what I might end up doing, because what I'm going to be doing is creating lots of different bits of terrain out of this one sheet of cardboard, and then when it's all done and all dry, I can cut it out and use it. So that's the idea. So for my starting gate, and I've just been reading the rules, I have the rules. I bought them a little while ago because I really want to get into this. It says that gates need to be the same width as a long straight, and a long straight is 18 centimeters, 118 millimeter wide. So you can see here, race gates, width of a long, and it says that you need to have a starting line, gate 1, gate 2, and a finishing line. That's in one of their examples. So you need at least 2 or 3 gates. So I'm going to start work on 2 gates initially. I'm going to work on the one which will be made up of 4. Let me just pull them over. If you see, that is about 18 millimeters, 180 millimeters, exactly correct. So I'm going to do the one which is going to be made up of the combined bones, and I'll also do the starting one, which will be 2 bones upright with a string between them. So let's get stuck into that first of all. We'll grab a pencil and we'll work out roughly some dimensions. Grab a pencil, he says. 1 second. I'm back. I have a pencil. And we can see that 180 millimeters, 180 millimeters is from there to there. So that's actually the width. So this piece of cardboard may actually end up being too narrow for me to do it width-wise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along instead. That will make it a bit easier for me to make sure that I have space to cut. So that's our 180. And I will now just kind of like roughly build out from that. Doesn't have to be straight. I'll be coming along on this with some modelling compound anyway soon, which will bleed over and what have you, but that's at least the minimum width, and we'll do another one roughly the same width as well. So there we are. Cool. So those are 2 bases that can be used as gates. Gates don't have to have a full up and over. It can just be 2 pieces of terrain, which is pretty cool, because what I've got a Triceratops skull. I love they're probably my favourite my favourite dinosaur, the Triceratops. So I'm going to basically draw around that, and I will embed that in some modelling compound, and that will be a nice, really easy bit of scatter terrain. So the other thing we've got some of these eggshells, and if we look, so what I might do is actually have it so that it's stood upright like that. So again, I will draw around that, and that can be quite a nice little bit of scatter terrain as well. And I might do 2 eggshells. I might do another smaller one here and have that one like up a bit. We'll see how it goes. So I'll do another one here. Now I reckon I am going to need to have more than 1 sheet of cardboard. I'm going to need to have more than 1 board going at once, which is fine. It doesn't matter. It's absolutely cool. So yes, I will obviously make that up, and I'll bring you along when I do that. So the final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a long thin one for this bit of bone. And there we are. Right, so the thing to do now is I'm going to get and mix some modelling compound, and I'm going to do these 3 first, I think. So embedding the Triceratops skull and the 2 eggshells, because they're going to be the easiest to do, and the upright, I might do the first upright, which won't have the bridge across the top. I think that will be quite an easy one for me to do as well, just to embed into some modelling compound. So I will do that, and I'll bring you along, and then while that's curing for these first few, I will think about how I'm going to join together the bones for going across the top like so, which I'll do on this one. So let me get some modelling compound, and I'll bring you along and show you how I do that. Right, and so I've mixed up some modelling compound, so let's get started. I've also stuck some pins in just to keep that a little bit of rise that was happening over the length of this down. Normally I would fill the whole board and be able to clamp along the edges, but that's not how I've done it. So what I'm going to do here is, first of all, we're going to start with this. So we're just going to come with some modelling compound. We're going to press it down onto the template that I've made. and then push the bone into it. It really is as simple as that. And what I may end up doing is making a impression of the bone in the modelling compound and then removing it so that I can then paint most and terrain and scenic most of the base without having to mask the bone, because I want the bone to look how it does, and then come back and put the bone in afterwards. So we'll make ourselves a bit of a kind of mound like this, smooth it out, and I won't film every single, let me move the camera slightly, I won't film every application, I'll just show you how I'm doing this one, and then the rest I'll do off camera. So once we're happy with how that looks, I'm going to come along, I'm going to press it in like so, leave it there for a little bit, and then I'll pull it out again before it dries, and then what we'll have is a space where the bone will sit, and I'll be able to glue that in nicely, but I can now do all the scenicking around it without having to worry about getting paint on it. So there we are, that's that. So I'm going to do the rest. I'll do the same thing for these. I'm not going to bother, I'm going to leave these in. So I will actually put the modelling compound on, glue them in place and leave them. But this one I might just do the impression as well, but we shall see. So I'm going to turn the camera off now, get this done, and I'll bring you back for the next step when I get to it. So there we are. That's done, and I'll let that go off. As I've said, I was going to do the big bone and the Triceratops skull. Both are just sat in, and I'll be able to add them in when I'm ready. This, I ended up having to use hot glue to glue down these, but I was in such a rush I couldn't get the camera out. But I'll show the full technique when I come to do the final gate here on this sheet. And then I had a little bit of the modelling compound left over, so I grabbed a tail to stick out of the ground. Just, I don't know, doesn't look very realistic, but whatever. I'll probably get myself another board and another sheet of cardboard and do another couple of different options, which you'll start to see as I'm working through this project. But I'm not going to repeat myself. It'll be basically the same technique with using modelling compound, clamping them down to a board, and then anything that I don't want to have paint on, I will just put an impression in, and anything else I will actually stick in probably with hot glue. These shells are very, very delicate. Funny that, isn't it? Eggshells being delicate. What I'm going to need to do is actually paint them with PVA, probably several coats of PVA just to toughen them up a bit, and I'll do that as well. I'll bring you along for that. But the next thing to do is to do another board, like I say, let it all to go off, and then we'll come back and we'll start to apply our texturing to the base. This is hopefully going to be a quick build, and I haven't yet decided what I'm going to do with my dinosaurs, my toy dinosaurs. I didn't even realise they've got like noises, I think, I'm not sure. I think maybe you can put a battery in it, and it's got some sort of button on the bottom you can press. So I don't know how useful they are going to be in the end after all. But the main thrust of this build will end up being actually the cars, and I will obviously do those on camera as well. That's going to be fun. So I'll let this go off, and I'll bring you along for the next step when I get to it. The final day of the January part of this challenge, and I didn't quite manage to finish the first two of these, though I did get very close, as you can see. However, I didn't get to do the washes. I've got all of the base colours down. There's a little bit of flesh that needs to be touched up on this particular one, but I decided not to push it because, hey, these are it's an arbitrary date. I'm going to continue this anyway, and I know a couple of other people who also are, so hopefully if you are, let me know. There's a new hashtag, 20 minutes in 2021, I think it was, but have a check on my Instagram and you'll see it there. And I started on another one, and this one has more done than appears, because I'm actually going for a white look on this one. So I've gone for ivory and what have you. So she's very nearly finished, as it happens. Just needs hair and then washes, and then I'll be happy with that. A little bit of touch, a little bit on the dagger in her belt as well. But yeah, really, really pleased. I'm really enjoying these miniatures. I've got a fair few more to do. I think maybe at least 4 more, and then I'll be picking up another project. Flying through my painting, really, really cool. So I'm just working on the next board, as you can see, of scatter terrain, and thought I'd bring you along for this one because I'm going to be making the Flintstones house. I've got a picture which I will flash on screen now if I remember, which I probably will remember, of a classic from the cartoon series. There's a lot of stuff on Google, if you search for this, of a real house that supposedly looks like the Flintstones house, but it doesn't actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of this polyfiller, this empty polyfiller box. I'm just going to hot glue it down to a base. I might do it there actually, and then what will happen is we'll have quite a large base for this one with some with the rocky path and the little kind of like stone table. So first of all, we're going to hot glue it down. So let's get a load of hot glue on that. I seem to be using more and more hot glue all the time, even though I'm not a big fan of it. I find it very stringy and annoying, and it does annoy me. So once this is hot glued down, what I'll be doing is I'll be using the terrain stuff, Luke's APS's modelling compound, to do the shape. So there we are. It's a bit close to the edge actually, so let's move it a bit to there, and that'll be fine. So that's glued down, and then we'll just hot glue the top on as well, and that will mean that I can do like the stone kind of like shape coming here. Just slap some hot glue on and done. Okay, there we are. So I'll probably bring you along for this build. It's going to be an interesting one, but I'm going to continue doing a few more other bits and pieces of scatter terrain. You can see I've got skeletons, I've got the real chicken bones here as well. So yeah, I'm going to I'll carry on. I'll probably going to be able to get one more or two more little bits of scatter terrain over at this end, and then I will start mixing up the compound, and like I say, I'll start filming again when I get to this bit. So we're going to come to doing the Flintstones house now. So I'm just going to pop some music on, speed this up a little bit, and get this sculpted. I'm using, as I said, the Luke's APS modelling compound to do this. Hopefully it'll work well. If it doesn't work, then I will try a different method, maybe with air dry clay. But this is going to be my first attempt. So yes, I'll pop some music on, and you can see how well this goes. I've left this overnight, and now I'm going to come in and do the painting of the floor. Very, very carefully, try not to get too much up the walls. So I've picked a fine brush, but inside this will not be something that we see very often, but I still want to do it nice. And what I'm going to be doing is putting the lines from the paintbrush in this direction, and I won't be putting too much paint in, so I'll spread what I've got out quite a lot so that it's a nice thin coat. So I'll get that done, and then we'll move on to texturing. As per usual on these kits, they don't take very long to do. So let's just get this done. I was just about to start mixing up some white grout and PVA. I've just been sat doing a bit of sieving of it while I've been watching some YouTube videos, and I've had another look at the picture on the Sarissa website, and I reckon what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to undercoat. I'm going to put black paint underneath, and then do the white grout over the top, so because it looks a bit dirtier and a bit grungier, and it looks like it's got some quite heavy shading, and I think that's going to work better. So I've got my black terrain paint here, and all I'm going to do is going to paint that all over all of the model that isn't already painted. So yeah, I won't film it, I'm putting paint on the model, but I just thought I'd show you. This is what I'm going to do. Black terrain paint, you can see it, there's a link to how to make that in the description below. It is basically house paint mixed with PVA, water and a dash of washing up liquid so that it doesn't go off. Anyway, I will bring you back when I'm coming to the next step, which will be the application of the grout, and you'll see what it looks like painted black. So then, this classic kit, very old now. I picked this up on a trade site. I'm not sure that it's still available new, it might be, but this was bought second hand, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So what we've got a blister pack with multiple sections to it, or wings, body, legs, head, It does come with instructions, so that fills me with dread. Normally Games Workshop stuff that comes with instructions is a right pain to build, and then you've got the base. So let's turn this over, open it up and have a look and see what's inside and how much cleanup is going to be needed. So there we are. As we said, we have the body. It has some mould lines on it and a little bit of the metal kind of flashing, which is pretty standard, but that's not too terrible. 2 wings, always useful to have 2 wings when you're a dragon. 1 wing would be a bit frustrating. A bit more flash on this, but again nothing that will be difficult to remove with a sharp knife. And then there's the tail. And then here we have some feet. Nice big claws on those feet. I think those must be the front feet and these must be the back feet. And then here we have 2-part head. So there is a bit of cleaning up to be done. Some of it has, as you can see, come off, and the spike has also come off. The 2 spikes, I need to make sure not to lose those, and I know that they are legendarily easy to lose, so I need to make sure I don't lose them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sit down and chill out in front of a YouTube video and feel ill and just clean these up using a hobby knife and some snips. And then I will start to assemble it, and I will bring you along for the assembly if I come across anything that's particularly difficult, but I expect the next time that I talk to you, I'll be in that assembly process to show you how that goes. So yeah, let's get stuck into this build. That cleanup was pretty easy as it happens, no particular dramas. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue together some of the sub-assemblies, and I thought I would run the camera while I do this because it's more interesting to show the process for a build like this, which I am expecting to be relatively quick to do, which is good because I've got a lot of projects on, so starting a new one, as I always do before I finished, is a little bit crazy, but hey. So first of all, we're going to put the head together. And I'm just using normal super glue here. I possibly should use gel because it's got a little bit more grip, but yeah, just normal super glue. If you're worried about it sticking, then you can always get some super glue activator, spray it on first and then drop the piece in, which I may end up doing for this if it doesn't hold in a second. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to put the legs on first, and then I'm going to stop, maybe the tail as well. And then I'm going to stop, leave that to go off fully, and then I will put the wings and the head on at the same time later on. And I think that's going to be the order to assemble this most successfully, because with the legs on, you'll be able to move this a bit easier when you're doing the other things. And with the legs on and not dry, sticking the wings on might be a bit annoying. And if you put the wings on first, then you might find it a bit annoying to then try and hold it to get to the legs. So that is secure enough now for me to put down. So I'll pop that to one side. And let's have a look at these legs. So as I thought, these are the back legs. So again, it's pretty obvious how it goes. There are gaps. I'll just bring that a bit closer in, hopefully it'll focus. There are gaps, but not terrible gaps. I may be able to get away with using my Mr. Dissolve putty from Mr. Hobby and not need to bust out the green stuff, but we shall see when it is finished. So I may even do one leg side and then leave it now and then do the other leg side later, looking at how this is falling, because it's a very heavy model. That's a solid lump of metal right there, so that might be how I end up going for it. So we'll make sure to line that up nicely, and what I'll do now is either skip the video or put some music on while I finish the next leg, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. So there's no point in you listening to me ramble anymore. So yeah, let's do the rest of this while you listen to some nice music. Back to this, and a little bit of a spoiler, that house that I was going to make just did not work. It was absolutely rubbish, so I'm going to throw it away. Just nap on often. I'll probably leave the footage in super speeded up so you can see what I'm talking about, but yeah, absolute terrible. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come along and do a couple of things on these. I'm going to be painting the base colour down onto the soil, and I'm also going to be sticking the starting gate together, and I've had some really cool ideas of how I'm going to do that. So I think my hot glue gun has heated up. I planned ahead. It has, look at that. So the first thing we're going to do is hot glue these two sections together. So let's just chunk a load of hot glue on there. I say, I'm using hot glue more and more and more all the time. And sorry for the throatiness and the sniffs. I have a stinking cold, which is really, really bothering me. Not nice. Okay, so with that done, I'm going to get 2 more legs, which I have on the tray just behind the camera. I wasn't that prepared. And these are going to be hot glued in place on the board, so that they will actually join up. My hands are in the wrong place. Let me just reorganise that. So they will join up like so. So that end will mesh into that little corner. So to do that, I'm going to lay it down and offer it up, and then I'll know where to put my little hot glue blobs, and I will hot glue these down. So you can see it's quite wide to do that. So what we'll do now is we'll put a hot glue blob down here. I'll make it quite big so I can move it if I need to. Make sure that I get the bone in the correct orientation. And then let's do the other one. And what I'll have to do is come back and do this with the modelling compound as well. So I'm going to be slightly behind on this section, but I should be able to catch up quite easily. And now this should sit across the top. It does. Right, I'm going to let that go off, not going to put that across yet, and then I will hot glue it in place, and then I will come to the next step of that, turn the hot glue gun off, which will be, well, I'll show you when I come to it, how I'm going to make it look like it is strapped. Next thing is to do apply some paint to these. So I have my Africa paint, which I really, really like. It's a really nice kind of like purpley grey. It's a very cool colour. So I'm going to paint that over all of these bases. So I will pop some music on and I will get that done. And then I'll be back for the final step of this particular building time, which is going to be putting a lot of PVA all over those very, very delicate shells. But I want to do that after I've painted the base on. I'm umming and ahhing at the moment about whether I'm going to put sand down. For the time being, I'm just going to do a base coat. I can always come back and add sand with PVA if I want to. So that's why I don't have my sand out. So I'll get that done and I'll put some music on. What I'm going to do now, I have mixed up quite a watery batch of a grout. So I've got white grout and I've added some grey paint to it, PVA, but no sand this time, so I don't want it to be too gritty. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come along and paint this thinly over all of where I've painted black. Now I may end up having to come back in with some white paint and do a wash over this as well, because it might end up being a bit too dark, I think, but it will allow me to fill in some of these gaps, some of these tabs, and also just get a bit more of the correct colour that we're looking for based on the picture on the website. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to stick some YouTube videos on that I'm watching and just paint the whole of this. It won't take me very long, and then we'll come back for the next step, whatever that's going to be. Not sure what the next step is right now, but you'll find out very shortly, and I'll find out when I get to it. This won't take very long, as you can see. I've got him all assembled, apart from the horns, which I will do another time. Now I'm going to do the green stuff. So I'm just going to mix up some green stuff and fill in all the gaps, just to make it absolutely solid. I'm going to do green stuff because it will actually go inside and be a bit more solid than the Misted Dissolve putty, I think. So yeah, so I'm just going to watch the videos and do that, and I will be back. I'll probably wash him then as well. Once it's green stuff and all dried, probably stick him in some hot water, soapy water, give him a wash, and then we'll start painting, which is flying on ahead. I'm hoping to make use of a new airbrush on this model and use this as a bit of practice for priming and base colours with an airbrush. I bought a single action one. Those of you who follow this channel a lot will know this is quite a tough thing. I struggle with the airbrush, yeah, so I'm going to try to use the airbrush on this. But anyway, let's get the green stuff done and then a wash, and then I'll bring you back for the next step after that. This is looking really good and is nearly complete. nearly done. So I'll probably finish this tomorrow. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in, and as you see, I have put the kind of like grey grout mix over everything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Africa, which is a nice dusty sandy colour. I'm going to come in and paint that all over the soil area, or the ground area that's around the base of these two particular buildings, and then when that's dried, either tonight or tomorrow, then I can put some grass down and tufts. Gonna have to repaint that door, just been very careless there, a bit more brown needed on that, but yeah, so then I can put some tufts down and then it'll be done. So this has been a really lovely quick build, and I think it looks great, and it's going to look really nice on the tabletop. So I can highly recommend this build if you're looking for something for like Wild West, or like this is for Blood and Plunder, so Age of Piracy. This is a really nice little kit, goes together very easily, very easy to pimp and paint up, as you've seen. It's taken me almost no time, and it comes out looking great. So I will have to touch up that door, and I'll do the rest of the painting, and then I'll bring you back when I come to do the actual flocking and tufts. So the final touches on this, and what I'm going to be using is some Geek Gaming from Luke, dead grass tufts, and I might put some others on as well. And I may do some more gravelly things, but the first thing I'm going to do is that. So I'm going to use some PVA. I always use PVA as well as the adhesive that comes with the tufts. It's just a better idea. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a few dabs of PVA in various places where I want it, mostly to hide gaps and mistakes, because there's a bit of a gap there where I've not glued it very well. Put one here as well, just to add interest. I'm not going to do too many, I think that's probably going to be enough, maybe one here. And then what you need to do is use tweezers when you're applying these. If you don't use tweezers, you will find yourself getting them stuck to you, which is not really what you want to do. So let's extract the pack from the plastic. Okay, and one actually has got stuck inside the pack, so I'm going to try to save that, drag that one out, make use of that first. There we are, and then we can put them in place using the tweezers, and hopefully they don't get stuck to the tweezers as well. But there we are. Pulled it off. Messy, messy, messy. But there we are. So this is what I'm going to do. Stick some tufts into these areas and just dress it up and make it look a bit nicer. And like I say, I may very well come back and do a little bit more dressing, and if I do, I will be sure to run the camera and show you. But this is really starting to come to life now. I'm really pleased with this. It's been a really nice, fun build, not very difficult, and it's looking great, and I think it's going to look really good on the table when I finally get my Blood and Plunder on. And it'll work very nicely, like I say, for Western as well, for Westerns. So yeah, let that dry and have a think about what else I might want to add, and I'll bring you along when I have made that decision. I've got these tufts that I received for free when I ordered an army actually years ago, which I'm still using. I'm not sure where they're from or who made them. They're probably Games Workshop, to be honest, but I quite like them. They've got a little bit of a different colour, so I'm going to pop those in a little bit as well, just to add a little bit of variation, and I think that's going to be me done. I've decided to do just one more thing. I'm going to use the unsifted gravel from my backyard, and I'm going to use Luke's fast drying basing glue to just put a couple of blobs here and here, just to add that final little bit of texture which I've been staring at this and I do think it's missing. The reason I'm using my backyard stuff is because it's actually just perfect colour to fit in with this dry, arid look that I'm going for on this build. And as you can see, it's going to look absolutely brilliant when it's stuck in there. Excuse me, still got my cold, it's hanging around. So yeah, so I'm going to push that in there, and I won't even need to paint it because it's the right colour that I want. So I can just drop those in and literally drop them there. Oops, I'll pick that up in a second. And they will look very realistic. Now, the only thing that's possibly not been done, that possibly I should do, is weathering the roof. Now, it's very clean. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do it or not. You'll find out when the next clip happens, whether I have or not. I am thinking about putting some pastels on there and just like dusting it down a bit and making it look a little bit more worn. So we'll see whether I do that or not. But other than that, I think that in terms of the decoration around the entrance, that is looking really nice, really full of character, and I'm very happy. The excitement is real. It's been a while since I've put any time into this because I've been ill all week, and so working on the farmhouse hasn't been something I wanted to do because I want to do it right, and I didn't have the attention to do it right. So I'm going to be getting back to that over the coming week. But also I've been waiting for some tunnel ends to arrive, and they arrived this week. And again, every night I came to this thinking I'm going to do some stuff on Rosie's model railway, and I was just too battered and didn't. So it's Saturday. Angela is very kindly and wonderfully giving me some time to work on this during the day, so in brief bursts I'm going to. So I ordered 2 different types of tunnel mouth. I ordered this one, which was very cheap, which is from Fala. They're both from Fala actually. This is the Fala Tunnel Portal, and this one is also called a tunnel portal, but it's got a little bit of the inside of the tunnel inside it as well. So yeah, so it's not just, it's got a it's not just the front, it's also got kind of like a little bit of the inside. Now I'm probably not going to use that one. I'm probably going to use these 2. I just got that to look at it really, more for my other layout. So as you can see, I'm opening this afresh. And what this is going to do, and the reason why I had to wait for this, was because I'm going to pop this tunnel, probably going to have it starting here, and probably going to have it going round to here. I'm not going to have it as a very long tunnel, but I am going to have a tunnel there, and it's going to mean that I'm going to be able to work out how high and how steeply I'm going to need to raise the terrain to be able to get a tunnel here. I just want a tunnel. I don't know why, but I just do, and that's the reason why I've had to wait. I wasn't really able to start work on the scenicking until I had these, and obviously it's going to give me an idea of how long the tunnel's going to be. It might even be very, very short. It might only be about that long. I also need to be aware of being able to get in and clean the track and what have you, because I don't want to have stalling trains under there, and the ground is going to need to be able to slope down in time to reach the station, which comes back here. So now that I've got this, what I'm going to be able to do is get this area cleared, get the foam on, and I'm going to use white foam and blue foam and build up the layers. My thinking is that the tunnel, the train track is going to be lower than the surrounding land, and I'm thinking that the road is possibly going to go over a bridge here, and it's going to slope down and go over a crossing over there, and then go round the corner to the town there. So the land will be maybe about yay high here, with a little hump bridge going over the top, so the road will already be up. The farm will be already quite a long way above the level of the baseland, and then riding up to a hill and then sloping down into town. So that's my thinking at the moment. So let me get that doing. What I'll probably do is just run the camera and do speeded up clips, and then maybe do some voiceovers if I've got something to explain, rather than all this exposition and talking to camera, because that will slow me down and it won't be all that interesting either. So that's how I'm going to work this. If I've got something to explain, I will explain it, but otherwise it'll probably just be shots of me working and what have you, and I hope that that's interesting. But I'm very excited. A week today is Rosie's 2nd birthday, so obviously I'm not going to get this completed, but I'm going to give it a damn good try to get it close. So let's go. Let's go to shaky cam for a little bit. First of all, look at the mess I've made. So I'm going to have to tidy that up now. There's a lot of cuts of polystyrene. So what I've done is I've ended up with 4 separate sections, which I'm now going to glue down, which I'll show you. We've got the road that comes along here. It's going to go over a bridge, as I've said, over the track there. And it kind of like slopes down here, goes at the crossroads and going to go over a normal crossing there, and then kind of goes up and over a hump and then down towards town over there. And up here is going to be where the farm is, so that's cool. So the road will come along here and the farm will be here, so there'll be a little bit of a kind of like grassy bank on this area here. And then over around here, where I was working at the end then, this is where the tunnel will be. So we've got a tunnel end that will fit there, that will stand there, and a tunnel end that will stand there. And you can see that that's going to be very, very nice. And then it kind of slopes down towards where the town is going to be when I get to that. And there you can see from the other side, that's the road. So I'm pretty happy with that. This is going to have another section on top. Obviously it'll be raised a little bit more. I'll probably use a thinner section of polystyrene. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue that down and then tidy up. So I'll use my normal strong glue and glue it all down, stick it to the board and stick it to each other. I might just stick it to each other actually first and then stick it to the board later, because then I can still manoeuvre it a bit. And then I'll probably build up the final level, which will just be here. So it's only going to be kind of like another little raised area from probably around here to where it goes down there, like that. And I'll probably do that next, so I might even do that before I glue, because that might be a bit easier. But I probably won't film because it's going to be lots of the same stuff, just cutting it of the EPS, and I've just filmed about 35 minutes. That'll have to be speeded up. So yeah, but this is so good to get some progress. I am looking at this and thinking I may need to cut back a bit if I'm going to put bark, which I don't know. There we are. I'm going to have some thinking to do as well, because I need to make sure that there's enough clearance for my train, and I do have some gauges for that. So I might check that, and I may actually bring this down a little bit more as well. I'm not sure, because of the potentially I'll need to either put a wall there, which may look a bit odd, or if I do bark, then I might need to take it back a little bit just to give me a little bit more space. Anyway, it's nice to be making it finally and to actually have some progress and something to show. So there we are. I've measured out and shaped the extra hill. You can see here we have a little car, which proves that my road is wide enough. It's only a single track road. It's not supposed to be very wide. And then this little Jeep can come back round here and go over there and down towards town. Almost went on the floor. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come along with the gator glue, and I am actually going to stick everything down. I think that's the best thing for me to do at this stage. It's going to be difficult for me to stick it just together but not to the baseboard, and then I can weight it down, leave it overnight, and then tomorrow I can come along, do the final bits of shaving along here to flatten out the road, and then start to put some sculptor mould down, which is what I'm going to do for the actual making it solid. I have checked the clearance. It does look to be okay. I may actually just shave there a little bit before I cut, just use a hot wire cutter to shave that corner a little bit narrower, just because if I do decide to put some buttresses in there, I need to have a little bit more space. The train does run. I've run the train round several times. It's been great fun to see it. I brought Angela up to show off, and I'm very pleased about that. But yeah, so I'm going to glue this down, weight it down, might trim that, and then leave it, and then we'll go back to it tomorrow. I have a week. I would very much like, I don't think I'll get the farmyard done, but I'd very much like to have everywhere where the buildings are going to be positioned, marked out, and all of the rest of the scenicking done, including putting down the sheep, her name, Woolly the sheep, and all of her friends, and various bits like that I would like to have for her for Rosie's birthday, which is a week today, next Saturday. So yes, let's crack on. I will not bother filming this. I'm just going to weight it down, so yeah, just glue it and weight it down. I'll bring you back when I come to the next step, which will probably be starting to put Luke's modelling compound down. I need to push on with this project. I've kind of let it slide a bit. I am waiting for a delivery. That cursed activity that just always takes ages to get to me, but hey, I'm going to carry on anyway. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint over all of these with PVA over the eggshells. Now I might end up painting the eggshells as well, because they are so obviously chicken eggshells at the moment, and I might paint them green or whatever, but for now I'm just going to, well, you're going to watch, I'm going to be able to hopefully secure them, make them a little tougher. It might take a couple of coats, and I'll be very, very carefully checking, but if I just flood these with PVA, then they'll become very, very much hardier. So with that done, let me move the camera and we'll do the next thing, and then and then I'll be starting to think about actually applying flock and get these finished, because they're not far off actually, to be honest. The eggshells are going to take the longest. I should be able to get the rest of it done quite quickly. So let's move the camera and I'll show you how I'm going to do the gate. So big lumps of hot glue isn't really what look I want for this. So what I've thought about doing, and I don't know if this is going to work, I hope it will, it should do. What I've thought about doing is I have some very, very fine and very expensive masking tape. This is crazily, stupidly expensive, and really I shouldn't be using it for this kind of a build, but whatever. You can't take money with you, can you? And so my idea was to try to use it to make it look like the binding around this joint, and it will actually also add a little bit of strength and support. So to make it look like it's been strapped together. This is special Tamiya masking tape for making model kits, and as I say, it is exorbitantly expensive, and this is a really stupid waste of resources, but hey. So there we are. That was my idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that here, and I'm going to do this on each of the corners, and then probably what I'll do is I'll come along and I'll paint it to look a bit more like leather, though the yellow is quite nice as it happens, so I might leave it like that. So there we are, that's how I'm going to bind those together. So there you are. Once again, I realised as I was editing just how much I have actually achieved this week, and I forgot. I've been that kind of out of it that some of that stuff I thought I'd done weeks ago, but it was only at the beginning of the week, of course. So there we are. A good week, an enjoyable week, and I'm really happy about the model railway stuff. Obviously, as I've mentioned it in the intro and the outro. I have just finished my 20 minutes. I am still carrying on. I'm not filming every night now. It was getting a bit too much and I thought it a bit repetitive, but I am continuing my 20 minutes. I've got a new hashtag, which is 20 minutes in January. No, sorry, 20 minutes in 2021 even. And I'll pop the hashtag in the description and also on screen, but I can't link to it. YouTube won't let me link to Instagram. It's not a legitimate link. Who knows? And in that time, I did actually just try a new painting technique, so I can cross off another hobby bingo for the Guardians Hangout. I tried wet blending. I painted up the Etta Cup, which was sent by Hate from Save or Die in the Tabletop Dungeoneers crate, and I did a little bit of wet blending on it, which is something I've not done before, and it went really well. I like the look of it. So you'll see a picture of that, I'm sure. This little Etta Cup is going to start appearing in a lot of my videos. It's going to be a little bit of a mascot for the channel, I think, over time. So yeah, watch out for that. And yeah, there we are. So I'll wrap this up now. I'll thank you very much for watching the video. If you get this far, really do appreciate it. Don't forget to drop a comment below the video. I really do appreciate everyone that does. I love reading them and I reply to every single one, so do drop a comment there, and don't forget to subscribe if you've not yet. And yeah, thanks for watching, and as always, please stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.